Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Forgot to Run the Intro. So, what the hell? Maybe I'll just do that from now on, rather than having to queued up beforehand. But anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
What up, though?
I'm your host, Scribe, like the Lord of Punishment, and joining us, special guest, Lord of, I forget what we gave her a Lord name for, Gamer Valine.
Hi, the Lord of Pasta is present.
Was that? Was it pasta? It's been a while. Gosh, we've been in such flux since Monkey left that we haven't had guests on in a while, and man, my memory sucks. What can I tell you? I apologize. How are you doing, Gamer Valine?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Anything exciting going on in Hobbit world?
No, not really today.
Yeah.
Well, glad to have an interesting guest on. Satsu, how are you doing?
Tired, but I'm good.
Boy, just rolling out with the anecdotes today. Well, for myself,
I thought you had a follow-up.
What?
I said I thought you were going to hit me with the follow-up question.
The follow-up? What follow-up?
Nothing, never mind.
Oh, like, how's the baby? How's the house? How's Squishy? I don't know.
Everything is fine, Scrap.
Well, that was worth the trip. Yeah, me is fine. Me did work. Me did stuff. Gonna hang out with the sister on Saturday. A programming note, and I'll mention this near the end, of course, as well. Thursday, a special event is happening. Ranting Monkey will be debating one of his Twitter nemesis, Euphorio something or other, answer, whatever his name is. Anyway, apparently there's going to be some kind of debate, which is going to be free form, which is going to be chaos. But that is set to start at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is effectively 1 hour before we begin. Now, it's entirely possible that that debate's going to go longer than an hour. And what I propose we do is that if it happens to, we forego Lords of the Night so that we can all attend Monkey's debate and give him support and cheer for him as he goes on in his debate, whatever it is. And then after that is over with, we'll start the show if it makes sense to. If it goes too long, might just call it a night. But either way, keep an eye out on Twitter for Thursday. We're going to do a sort of a fan watch party over on, I think it's on Monkey's channel. I believe the debate is occurring. So go watch it on there, and we'll gauge what time we've got left for a Lords of the Night afterwards. So that's the plan I have in place for Thursday. And because, I mean, if we tried to do a Lords of the Night and Monkey was still debating somebody, all you guys would be over there anyway. So, hey, why bother? Yeah.
Probably.
Let's see. Before the stream, thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the dancing dog cat fox. Oh, dog cat fox. You like that, don't you? Wowie, wow, wow. Yeah, you do. And let's see. Other than that, I think that's all the big exciting stuff. So, Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games. Hit that like button if you have not already. And please share our stuff. Share it far, wide, sideways, and otherwise. Said it before. We'll say it again. YouTube does a very poor job of letting people know when content creators, especially smaller ones, have new stuff out, or they just exist in general. So if there's a content creator out there you like, whether it's us or someone else, let people know. Share their stuff. Talk about them. Put it out there that you like them. And we appreciate it, because you guys are our best algorithm. Let's see. Anything else to mention before we get into it, guys?
No.
Gamer Valine?
Yes. What?
Go ahead.
Sorry. My dog demanded to be let in.
That silly puppy. All right. I was just asking if you had anything you wanted to mention or plug, or anything upcoming for you'd like to say.
Not this week. I just did a stream for like 5 hours playing Call of Duty and New Vegas.
New Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of run you doing?
A meat puppet run where I make the bodies go into compromising positions after I kill them.
That's funny.
Okay, thank you, Mikala Driving 8 Man. No, you start the show and stream snipe commentary. I wouldn't do that to a friend. No, besides, I'd want to be over there listening to him anyway, so it's kind of a personal thing as well. But with that, let's get in to the snooze, and let's start out with a piece from our favorite friend at CNN, Chris Cillizza, who I am, we said this a few days ago. I don't know. The Biden administration might be forcing CNN to go back to being almost like news reporters or something. I don't know yet, but let's find out. A record Joe Biden shouldn't be proud of. The White House announced Monday that President Joe Biden will deliver his first primetime speech Thursday night to commemorate a year since the COVID-19 pandemic effectively shut down American society. Which is good. The public needs to hear from their president at this moment, when cases are down but worries remain about another surge amid some states relaxing mask mandates. What's far less good is that the White House has still yet to put a solo news conference by Biden on his calendar. That makes him unique among recent presidents, and not in a good way. You know why they're not going to put him in front of the press? Can you guess, Chris? Because he'll forget that he's in the White House.
Yeah. Have you seen him talk recently?
Yeah. Did you see him try to mention the Pentagon the other day? Couldn't remember the name of the place. As CNN's Kevin Liptak noted earlier this month, quote, as we await word on when President Biden will hold his first solo press conference, an analysis of the past 100 years shows he is behind his 15 most recent predecessors who all held a solo press conference within 33 days of taking office, unquote. The response from the White House to this criticism is, one, Biden takes questions from reporters in informal settings. Does he, though? Because recently I've seen him being ushered away before the reporters have a chance to ask anything. Mm-hmm. And two, he is laser focused on the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Man. I think, Biden's laser focus is about as broad spectrum as through a fucking prism. So no.
That dude ain't laser focused on shit.
I'm not sure he knows what a laser is. Which I get, says Chris Cillizza, and I also get that simply holding press conferences isn't a panacea. Hey, Chris, what were you saying, I don't know, about a year or so ago when Trump stopped doing press conferences for a while? What was your criticism of him then? After all, former President Donald Trump talked to the media more than any modern president, but he lied so often and with such ease that there's an argument to be made that the country would have been better off if he hadn't held nearly as many press availabilities. Yeah, what was your complaint again last year, Chris, about Trump's White House not holding press conferences? Oh, but now, for crying out loud.
Wouldn't it be easier to have Trump up there than somebody you perpetually have to run cover for?
Well, I mean, all press secretaries run cover for their bosses, but in Biden's case, there's not much to run cover for except for the fact that he can't seem to understand where he is, who he's talking about, or what's going on half the time.
No, the media.
Oh, well, the media. Well, if they do a press conference and Joe Biden gets up there in front of the entire world and the entire press corps, and he can't remember what's going on, where he is, or names of things, and they have to usher him out or cut the thing short or something, nobody wins, and there's no cover to be had. They can't. There's no way that even the media, I think, the media at large, could sit on that or somehow cover it up when it's broadcast in front of the whole country.
They'll be like, "He just started, guys. Give him some time." That'll be what most people would say.
Let's see. Still, those explanations aside, it's long past time for Biden to answer questions from the White House press corps in a sustained solo news conference. Why? Well, consider what has transpired in the first 6 weeks of the Biden administration. Biden has signed more than 50 executive actions. 50 presidential fiats, I like to call them, on everything from immigration to a return to the Paris Climate Accord. He could well sign a $1.9 trillion COVID-19 stimulus bill by the end of the week, a massive bit of federal spending. While Biden has largely avoided the press over these first 6 weeks, he and his administration have done a number of huge things using his executive power and the Democratic majorities in Congress. Yeah. The point, these are decisions that will affect not just Biden's presidency, but the country for years to come. You don't say. And he should understand the need to explain his thinking to reporters and the country. No. You guys are secondary. You get to reporters. Like, you guys are somehow representative of anything.
Hold on, but that's not even usually how it works. Usually, reporters go and they get that information out of him. They don't sit back and wait for him to explain it to them.
Admittedly, they tried. There's a video out today of him at some grocery store or something, public event, and they were yelling questions at him about the crisis at the border, and then his handlers ushered the reporters away. So some are trying. Some are trying, but if they're not given any access, if they're not given an opportunity to speak to the guy, except through, social distancing and his throng of protectors, not much else they can do except go to Jen Psaki or whatever and try to get her to answer something, which she rarely does otherwise.
Well, so they're letting it be obvious that they're covering for him because that last sentence, and he should understand. He was vice president. Of course he understands. And he should understand. It's as if they're breaking it down to a child.
Well, that's a lot of what we've seen from CNN, not just now, but over the years, is that some of the articles, blog posts that they put up here, they're effectively written for people who have absolutely no idea about either basic politics or recent history. And they can get away with that because they think their audience is a bunch of idiots, which, I can't tell. We read this stuff every night, so I'm a bit experienced it at this point. But so that's, I guess maybe that just kind of washes over me because I just expect that from them now. It's just like the lowest common denominator. But you're right. There's no excuse. He as far as like Satsu said, he doesn't have any excuses to say he's new, he's still getting started, etc. This should be old hat to him. All of it. Not only the politics, but also operating in the White House. He's got no cover rationally, and anybody who says that he's still getting started or it's early on, no, that's nonsense. Not on what he ran on, not on his platform, not on everything else, and not on an entire lifetime of being in politics. So is it odd that he hasn't done one yet? Yes. Is it surprising? No, because the second he gets up there all by himself, naked and alone in front of the entire press corps and the nation without anybody to cover for him, the second he starts forgetting where he is, he's done. I don't know how much longer they can cover for him. These other little events like we had the other day with the Pentagon and him not remember the name of the general or where he was. Strangely enough, nobody's talking about that. CNN's not talking about it and so on. But there's going to come a point where they're not going to be able to hide it anymore. And that's coming closer and closer. The first time he's got to stand up in front of people without any prep or any cover.
It's not as close as we think, though, because I was thinking about it today. Mm-hmm. They run all of these press conferences as live stream almost. All they have to do is record it and have your best editor work on it to avoid any types of jump cuts. And you've managed to cover your bases right there. You can cover for a lack of lucid response.
No, they're not with the press corps asking live questions. They're not going to be able to do it. If the press are there, you know that Fox News is not going to sign some NDA on a pre-recorded press conference.
But the White House can select who comes in and select who's going to have the NDAs.
Well, sure, but if they do anything but have a live press conference, if it's recorded, if it's a package that's sent out to people, that's going to look suspicious. Nobody's going to like that. That's not going to. The press won't like that either.
And any media outlet that doesn't agree with the NDA or whatever, they're going to fucking talk about it.
Exactly.
They're just going to go away and be quiet.
Yeah. And besides, they can't do an NDA anyway because that's restricting the freedom of the press. So if they tried anything like that, the truth would still get out one way, shape, or form. And the media outlets would be up in arms if they were told that they had to sit for a recorded, managed, edited press conference. No, I don't think so. It'd be a scandal if they tried to pull that, though. Thank you. This is Kyle. Hello, chat people. Lawton and Gamer. Hello, Kyle. But let's move on to something that caught my eye today because it's a subject I've done a couple of videos on. The U.S. Department of Education curbs decision on race-based affinity groups.
I wonder why.
Well, just wait. If you guys don't know what affinity groups are, just think back to like, I don't know, Alabama in the 1950s where you had drinking fountains on both sides of the room. Yeah, that's what it is. It's splitting kids up in schools on the basis of race and for no other reason. Because they need to be able to, I don't know, marinate in their common identities is effectively the philosophy, which isn't an identity. But sorry?
Yes, it's just like the white supremacists want it.
Let's see. The U.S. Department of Education suspended a decision. Remember, they suspended a decision that found racial affinity groups discriminated against students and staff. So this isn't good news. They are re-allowing affinity groups. The goal of the programs used by the New York City public school system and other school districts and several independent schools in the country is to separate students and staff by racial groups in order to help address discrimination and, quote, white privilege. But the practice of separating schools into racial groups is discriminatory. No shit. A determination obtained by the Post found. What do you need to obtain? You need to look into it. You do some research.
It is so tripped out to me that the foundation, the bedrock of modern activism is saying those white supremacists were right.
It's come full circle.
It's so amazing to me.
Let's see. Sources said the findings, if implemented, could apply to New York City and other school districts. The findings, like, well, again, I know I just said it, but what needs to be found here? What needs to be thought about? It's exactly in the name. Racial affinity groups. Splitting kids up on the basis of race. What great journey do you need to go to figure out what that means? The Post last year exclusively reported about city early childhood teachers being asked to be segregated into discussion groups based on skin color, race, and ethnicity following the George Floyd killing at the hands of the Minneapolis police and the violent protests that followed. Critics ripped the initiative for perpetuating racial stereotypes. No, it doesn't perpetuate racial stereotypes. It perpetuates segregation, racial segregation. But anyway, one Manhattan principal even recently asked parents to reflect on their whiteness to address white supremacy, white privilege, and discrimination.
Hey, while we're busy over here discriminating against you, you need to focus on why you're such a discriminatory person.
The 18-page letter of finding drafted by federal DOE Office of Civil Rights Enforcement Director Carol Ashley was triggered by a complaint filed by a former New York City arts teacher who now works in the Evanston-Skokie, Illinois school district. Okay. The DOE finding said the Evanston-Skokie school district violated civil rights law by, one, separating administrators in a professional development training program in August 2019 into two groups based on race, white and non-white. Two, offering various racially exclusive affinity groups that separated students, parents, and community members by race. Three, implementing a disciplinary policy that included explicit direction to staffers to consider a student's race when meting out discipline. Four, carried out a colorism privilege walk that separated 7th and 8th grade students into different groups based on race. You guys ever seen a privilege walk before?
No.
Feline?
No, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around how cities that have neighborhoods with heavy community affiliated segregation based on fundamental beliefs of people that live in the communities are now going, our schools aren't segregated enough because we chose to live separately.
So I have a video. It's kind of old now, but the same thing. It's of a privilege walk, a live privilege walk. So this is what happens. And this is the example that I had on the video. You line up all the kids like shoulder to shoulder, right? And then you say, if you are white, take one step forward. If your parents are both employed, take one step forward. If your parents are divorced, take one step backward. And you go through this list of questions back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. And by the end of it, you see who's ahead of the game and who's behind the game. And obviously, everybody ahead of the game has the most privilege, and everybody behind has the least privilege or something. And that's how that works. That's a privilege walk. It's not. I mean, the first time I ever heard the phrase, I thought it was like, what, you like take a field trip out to the suburbs and stroll down the street.
That just sounds like something some Karens like in Scottsdale or something came up with.
It's bullshit. It's total and absolute bullshit. If you were a kid, I mean, think about the worst scenario, like picking kids for the dodgeball teams, and you're the last to be picked, right? Imagine if you're standing there and you have to take all the steps backwards because your parents are divorced, or they're not that rich, or you don't wear fancy clothes, and by the end it's like, oh, look at just pity them or something. Like, what the fuck?
And you know what would be really fucked up too? Is if like all the kids who had like, you know, took several steps and were up at the front, all the kids in the back were like, haha, you guys fucking suck. It's just like, oh, this had the opposite effect.
Yeah, the article, I didn't even look. The article says exactly that. Yeah, quote, if you are white, take 2 steps forward. If you're a person of color with dark skin, take 2 steps back. If you're black, take 2 steps back, unquote, the privilege walk exercise said. The goal was for white students to, quote, learn more about white privilege, internalized dominance, microaggressions, and how to act as an ally for students of color, unquote, the lesson plan said. Yes, because if you see someone of a particular color, you must assume of them a particular quality of life, a particular mindset, a particular value in society. And by this, we will eliminate racial discrimination.
Yeah, that's not how that works. Like, I went to a school in Baltimore, a mile from the city line, that is straight up like an episode of Cops. And if we would have done this, all the kids in the front would have turned around and been like, oh, okay, so that's cool. And the kids in the back who are so oppressed would have beat the shit out of them.
Well, what's so crazy though is, depending on the neighborhood, a lot of those questions will, outside of just the obvious external stuff like your skin color, whatever, when it comes to broken families, you know, how much money you got and all this type of stuff, your family situation or whatever, most people were in the same boats in those neighborhoods. You know, like a lot of this stuff didn't differ all that much. So there's not going to be a lot of distance in between kids in some neighborhoods. So it's just, it seems like it seems like a way to make sure that you solidify the divide permanently. It's like, there's a divide and it needs to be fixed, but we need to make sure that never fucking happens.
But Ashley of the DOE concluded the school district, quote, engaged in intentional race discrimination by coordinating and conducting racially exclusive affinity groups, which resulted in the separation of participants in district programs based on race in violation of the Title VI regulation. Yes, Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, everyone. It restricts any school from discriminating in any program whatsoever on the basis of race or ethnicity, if they accept federal funding. Now, it's that last part that you got to be careful about, and that's because they're independent schools that are not funded like, you know, private schools and so on. They can still practice a whole lot of different types of discrimination that if they were federally funded, they couldn't. But we're talking about New York public schools here. And I've been seeing this more and more lately, and it's something I'm looking into right now because the same thing was trying to be pushed in a particular school district in Minnesota. But I don't know much about how Minnesota school districts work. So I'll, on the off chance anybody here knows the answer to this question, because I've been trying to find out, there's something in Minnesota called the intermediate districts. And they seem to be operating on some level outside regular school districts. And my question,
charter schools.
Well, that's the thing. My question that I've been trying to find an answer to is, do schools in intermediate districts accept federal funding? I've looked at state budget reports on school district funding. I've looked at some other things, and there doesn't seem to be a clear answer about yes or no. I think they do because they apparently benefit from levies, which is tax money, but I don't know if that counts as federal or if that's state. And so, because I was trying to do a video on this, and as I'm scripting the video about these teachers, it was a video from teachers for the school faculty telling them about the benefits of racial affinity groups. And as I'm scripting it, I'm starting to say exactly what this article says. You know, you're kind of doing an illegal thing because Title VI says, and then I came across that one part, federal funding. And I don't know if they don't actually are funded by federal funding. Technically, they can do this stuff and they're not violating the law. It's still decidedly against the spirit of what our civil rights movement since 64 and onward is meant to be, but they wouldn't be breaking the law. And I don't want to say that they're breaking the law in a video when they're not actually breaking the law. I wanted to get that right. So on the off chance anybody knows the answer to that question or can find it from some source that I haven't, because I emailed the Department of Education for Minnesota. I emailed a reporter who did stuff on Minnesota education. Nobody's gotten back to me. So maybe it's just because I'm a YouTuber. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one because the federal government just said that it's okay to have racial affinity groups. Which, yeah.
It's a linked. Okay, so so they call it intermediate. It's an alternative learning district, especially it's essentially for where they combine a lot of rural / suburban communities where they would basically build a building for 10 students. Special education, career and technical training, and alternative learning programs. So hybrid learning, things like that, so they could go to college and regular and public school. That's what those intermediate school districts are. So they're public schools. They're public schools.
Yeah, I know what kind of school. I know what they do with these schools, but the problem is that they operate separately, and the schools that I did look at don't indicate they take any federal funding. That all their funding comes from effectively tuition. But I don't know if that's 100% of what they take or whether they have any other sources from the federal government. And so, yeah, I know how they operate. I just don't know where their money comes from incomplete. And that's what I'm trying to find out. Thank you, Piccolo. Did you ask P-Dog? He would know. I didn't, because it didn't occur to me to ask. So if P-Dog happens to show up tonight, I'll ask him then.
They're screwed. They take federal money because they take it for low, free or reduced price lunches. They take federal money right there.
Okay.
Department of Education meal programs.
Here's the thing. They might be breaking the law, but they're not, because the Biden administration says it's no longer a violation. So that's the problem, is that by the letter of the law, they're violating it if they're taking federal money, but nothing's going to happen to them. So it is an unenforced law right now.
And that's some garbage because honestly, you do these little privilege walks and you segregate the rich students. You take them into a district that's mostly urban where it's barely suburban, and you have a small number of wealthy kids that meet all the privilege check marks ahead. That just gives all the kids that are poor identities to know, oh, I'm going to go take their shit because they'll get it replaced.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're going to get their ass kicked every day after school and have their money taken, or their
you're not doing any benefit to any students by splitting them up on the basis of arbitrary factors in their lives and saying, here's where you rate in our group, in our society, or here's where you are stratified in our eyes. It does nothing except separate, discriminate, and alienate kids one from another. Yep. It's teaching people to look at one another and assess each other on the basis of things that are non-determinative factors of who they are. And they keep calling skin color identities. They call gender identities. These are not identities. They say nothing about who you are. And every time that they say that, it drives me up the fucking wall, because I'm thinking not so much about annoying me, but I'm thinking about this adult who is in a position to educate children is indoctrinating them into a mindset of discrimination. A mindset of benevolent discrimination. You have to look at yourself in a particular way based on your skin color, either up, down, or otherwise. And that's how you should see other people as well. And it fucking bewilders me how they can say these words and not have any notion of what it is that they are saying. How they it's so contradictory. It's literally a syntax error in my head. I just don't get it. But anyway, so yeah, if I can get that all lined up, I'm going to do a brief video on this teacher to staff announcement educational film, telling them about all the good things that come from affinity groups in the Minnesota Intermediate School District. So wait for that one. Anyway, didn't mean to get too far off on that. We have other stories to cover here. You guys like unsolved mysteries?
I like murder.
Oh, murder.
Well, wait, you like murder?
I was just watching the show Hannibal. Sorry.
Oh, that's a great show. That's
Yeah.
a great show. It had a few filler episodes here and there, but it was a great show. Thank you, Virgil G. Get him, Scribe. Well, I don't know if I'm going to get him or anything. I've done at least 2 or 3 videos now on affinity groups. One specifically with teachers from the National Association of Independent Schools, our favorite friends at NAIS. And when I saw that come up today, I mean, it was such a fringe idea to me 9 months ago, a year ago, whenever I did that video. Like affinity groups. That's the sugar-coatingest piece of bullshit wordplay on racial segregation that I've ever heard. And I thought that's complete nonsense. And then today it's like, nope, it's an official stance of the Biden administration.
Dude, if only the racists back then knew that all they had to do was change the name of the stuff they were doing to something else, that it would just become a better thing instantly.
All right. So speaking of mysteries, you guys remember at all the mystery of the kid that died in the rolled up gym mat?
Oh, yeah. Holy shit. That was a long time ago.
So, investigation into death of Georgia teen found in a rolled up gym mat 8 years ago will be reopened. Yeah. How this happened, why it happened, bizarre. So we'll go over it here, I'm sure, in the story.
Fuck, I completely forgot about that.
I know, right? An investigation into the death of Kendrick Johnson, the Georgia teenager found dead in a rolled-up gym mat 8 years ago. It's been 8 years. Has been reopened, according to Lowndes County Sheriff Ashley Polk. The body of Johnson, 17, was found upside down in the mat in Lowndes County High School in January 2013. Local investigators ruled his death was an accident. Johnson's parents have said they think their son was killed. Quote, "It's been 8 long years," Johnson's mother, Jacqueline Johnson, told CNN on Tuesday. "I'm feeling hopeful," unquote. The initial investigation concluded that Johnson accidentally slipped into the center of the mat while reaching for a shoe and got stuck. Okay, so the mat was already, in this theory, the mat was already rolled up, and he crawled inside trying to get something, but then he basically couldn't get his way out. Nobody saw him do it, and then he just kind of died inside. That's the theory that's been running for a while. An autopsy conducted by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation determined that the cause of Johnson's death was accidental positional asphyxia. That reminds me of that other story about that kid that got stuck in the backseat of that car. I think that was about a year ago or so now. You remember that story?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was something to the effect of this kid was in the backseat of his car, and he's getting something, and the back seat like automatically ratcheted backwards or something, and he got stuck like in the chair in the seats of the car, and he couldn't get out. And because the car was already closed up and it was hot out, he basically suffocated to death in the backseat of the car. And he was able to call somebody, I think, on his phone, but he couldn't direct them to where the car was because he couldn't like see anybody. It was bizarre. Anyway, but an autopsy conducted by a pathologist hired by Johnson's family determined that the cause of death was, quote, unexplained, apparent, non-accidental, blunt force trauma to the neck. Polk, who at the time of Johnson's death was a retired former sheriff, said Tuesday he was, quote, not sure when this situation happened, unquote, that it was an accident. Quote, if there's questions and they're legitimate, I need to know the answers myself. The only way I'm going to know is to look at the evidence myself, Polk said. After a 2.5-year federal probe, quote, investigators determined that there is insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that someone or some group of people willfully violated Kendrick Johnson's civil rights or committed any other prosecutable federal crime, unquote, the Department of Justice said in a statement in 2016. Polk came out of retirement in 2017, and in April 2019, he requested that information collected during the federal investigation be released to his department. Quote, "It is vitally important that we have access to any information on the case of K.J. Johnson that any federal agency has not previously released," Polk wrote in a letter to the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia. This goes on for quite a while, but anyway. Yeah, it was always a very weird thing. I mean, it's not an impossible scenario, but he crawls in there and just kind of gets stuck and suffocates.
Yeah, sure.
But I always thought it was really weird. It's like, how? And was he rolled up as a prank and then people just didn't say anything? Like, I know what you did last summer kind of deal? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think he saw some shit that he wasn't supposed to see.
In the gym.
No, that was just an easy way to hide him.
Well, we'll either find out or we won't, I suppose. But yeah, 8 years going on now. And God, I can't believe that much time has passed. But there you go. Anyway, I had a couple other stories, but they will hold. We're going to move on to the wonderful world of MSS News, something I still haven't come up with a little segment bumper for. If you guys have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise to get to them all, but that's because I'm long-winded. Let's see. This one comes from Sean Uli. If it'll come up here. Okay. Get it to the right window. South Dakota passes bill banning transgender athletes in women's and girls' sport. Now, this ought to be... I bet this is going to be heading to the Supreme Court at some point. Governor Kristi Noem said she will sign legislation passed by the South Dakota legislature banning transgender athletes from participating in women's and girls' sport, becoming the latest state approving similar bills to outlaw such competition. Quote, "In South Dakota, we're celebrating International Women's Day by defending women's sports," Noem tweeted Monday, moments after the bill cleared the state Senate. "I'm excited to sign this bill very soon." Backers of the bill say it promotes, quote, "fairness in women's sports." Republican Senator Jim Bolin said he remembers track meets where the hurdles were raised after girls' 100-meter races for boys' heats. Quote, "That's a clear illustration of biological differences," Bolin said, according to the Grand Forks Herald. But opponents said it will likely spark a series of legal battles. I assume it will. That's not a bad thing. That's what we have the legal system for. Quote, "The decision is going to be made in federal court," said Republican Senator V.J. Smith. "It's not going to be made in the state Senate of South Dakota." Yes, I think anybody with a pulse understood that. He noted that only one person born male took part in women's sports in the past decade, and that athlete did not dominate. No transgender girl currently competes in a female high school sports league in the state, the High School Athletics Association said. The legislation was rejected by a Senate committee over the consequences the state would have to deal with if it was passed, from the NCAA refusing to host tournaments, to legal challenges over discrimination, to the administrative problems of gathering proof of every high school athlete's gender at birth. But it was revived on the Senate floor on Monday. Legislatures in Alabama and Mississippi have also passed bills this month banning teen transgender athletes from participating in female sports. The state Senate in Alabama also voted to make the use of puberty-blocking hormone therapies and sex reassignment surgeries on people under 19 a felony, with penalties of up to 10 years in prison. Wow. So, yes, all of this stuff is going to be played out in the courts.
Well, that last one right there is much more controversial than the latter, I think. But we'll see how that goes.
I think the women just need to do what I was saying they need to do, which is biological women just back off, let them all compete against each other. South Dakota not included because of population, making the obvious point of, we don't have anybody competing because the state has a very low population density. But let the trans athletes compete against other trans athletes and then go, well, this isn't fair. We're being segregated. No. You all tried out for the female sports and you got it. You got what you wanted. Well, this isn't what I want. Well, then make up your mind.
Okay, this one comes from Massive Dynamics.
We want to beat up on girls, damn it!
Fight me.
Unilever to ban the word normal to reflect a, quote, broader definition of beauty.
Okay.
Well, I mean, eye of the beholder, so... But banning words is going to do that? Okay. Unilever announced today, that the word normal would be removed universally across the company's subsidiaries as part of commitments outlined in a new positive beauty vision and strategy. Because prior to this, you guys had a negative beauty vision and strategy. The ban comes after the British multinational corporation ran a survey spanning 10,000 participants across 9 countries. According to Unilever, the survey found that 56% of respondents, quote, said that the beauty and personal care industry can make people feel excluded, unquote.
They make cosmetics and personal care. An abnormal skin growth is an abnormal skin growth. Are you going to change the medical dictionary too?
Thank you, Bicala Driving 8-Man. Broader, like hips. I'll see myself out. I was thinking broader, like broads. But anyway. Let's see. Whilst 7 in 10 people said the beauty and personal care industry must broaden its definition of beauty. What does that mean?
No one's ugly.
It was found that, quote, 6 in 10 respondents said the industry creates a singular ideal of who or what is normal, and that this singular ideal, quote, made them feel that they should look a certain way, unquote. That's called advertising.
No, here's why that narrative is complete bullshit. Because in the fashion industry, or in these places that have these concepts of beauty, there is not a whole bunch of people walking around looking exactly the same. So it's impossible for them to have set one standard and said, this is the only way that you could possibly look to be beautiful. It doesn't make any sense. That argument makes no sense whatsoever.
I mean, shit, that's why I'm ugly. But anyway.
Oh my god.
Well, obviously, I'm unattractive because I don't use Unilever products. You know, because the only way I'm going to get there, I'm going to get past normal, is if I buy a bunch of Unilever products, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring some fucking abomination in with a fucking foot hanging out of their eye socket and fucking 8 legs and shit, and be like, yeah, all the people with shocked faces in here, you're all fucking terrible. Why are you looking at this creature like that? It's this. What's normal? Huh?
Here's the thing. Who? I mean, I suppose. I guess I'm outside of, quote, normal because I don't look to the makeup or beauty industry to tell me what I find attractive.
Yeah, you know who does that? Insecure people.
Oh.
I tried to keep it broad, but this broad is over
broad. You kept it broad, all right.
I mean, it's true. We do it with men and women. We just hate everybody. Meanwhile, okay. I'm sitting over here like, I'm beautiful.
All right. Frosted Glass has just like spammed MSS News. So I'm going to give somebody else a chance here. Gee. Peter Stewart also sent us the Unilever story. I wanted to see this one because I saw this earlier. Pinkala Driving 8-Man sends us this one. Because if you ever wanted to hear the world's tiniest violin playing, you might play it. Or Rupert Grint. Filming Harry Potter was suffocating at times.
Yeah, there were so many souls to steal.
Rupert Grint has admitted filming Harry Potter was, quote, quite suffocating, unquote. The actor played Ron Weasley in the Wizard film franchise from 2001 to 2011. A decade of being in the same set of movies and getting paid what? And admitted while it was a, quote, great experience, there were times where he wanted more for his life and career. Appearing on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, Dax Shepard. If that guy isn't the luckiest dummy in Hollywood, I don't know who is. Somehow he keeps getting jobs and keeps making movies, even though they're terrible, like Chips. I think it's just on the basis of goodwill because he's a nice guy and he's friends with lots of people. But anyway, he said, quote, there was a time where it felt quite suffocating because I was heavy going because it was every day for 10 years in the end. It was a great experience, such a nice kind of family atmosphere. It was always the same crew we kind of grew up with, so it was a great place to be. But sometimes it definitely felt like I want to do something else, see what else is out there, unquote. Rupert compared the shoots to Groundhog Day with the days and weeks blending into one. It just never ended. Every year we came back and it was kind of like Groundhog Day because it was the same sets. It was the same people, but it was great. I loved it, he added. Hey, Rupert, it's called work.
Isn't that what happened with the series?
Yeah. It's called work, Rupert. And you know what? I've been working at the same company for 13 years now. And you know what it is? It is like going in every day and do the same thing every day because I'm being paid to do a particular job. So are you. And guess what? You got paid a fuck ton load more than anybody else on the planet, and you never have to work again. So,
and you know what? For me, I'm gonna try to take a more understanding approach.
Oh, okay, fine.
I try not to when it comes to, other people, because he was an actor, and most of the time, a good majority of the time when people act, they play a variety of different roles and they do all these different kind of things. They get to expand their horizons and, try different stuff. So being in that position, being an aspiring actor and then getting a role, and then it's like, yep, this is what you're going to do forever. Yeah, I can feel him. How that was just like, God damn it. This is it. This is all I can do. So I get it. I mean, he's still rich. He's still set for life. He still made a whole bunch of money and he's famous as fuck, but I get it.
I could buy that if his co-stars haven't gone on to do other things and have further careers.
That's true. I mean, they have gone on and branched out. So
yeah. So and don't get me wrong, I have seen the horror stories and I have a lot of sympathy for child actors and things that happen in that way, shape, or form. But in his case, and with the company he kept, there's no reason why he should be any more stationary than he chooses to be. And at this stage of the game, he's a grown adult. His co-stars, like I say, they've each gone on different kinds of careers. Harry Potter himself has gone on to a zillion other movies and a zillion other roles. And sure, he's always going to be known as Harry Potter, but he doesn't let that typecast him. He does other things. So if he's going to have it dwell on him forever, I'm just Weasley forever. Well, that's his problem.
Well, yeah. There aren't a whole lot of written roles if they adapt books to movies that have redheaded males. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of a niche actor, whereas the other ones were brunette, which opens up a lot more roles.
Believe it or not, it matters. So,
okay. Which if he's not willing to color his hair, he's going through what women go through. Congratulations, you're oppressed. Tell me more about this oppression that you face so much. I feel so bad for him.
So, I don't feel bad for him. I can just understand, that.
So, P-Dog's in the chat. P-Dog, just as a double check, I got a question for you. A bit of an odd question, if you know the answer. I'm trying to verify whether the intermediate school districts in Minnesota are recipients of federal funding. Specifically because I have a video that I want to do a little commentary scripted thing on regarding a instructional message from teachers to staff about the importance and benefit of racial affinity groups, which fly in the face of Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. But the caveat there being that schools have to be accepting federal funding to risk violation of discrimination laws by race. And the intermediate school districts in Minnesota operate in some weird way separate from the other school districts. And Gamer Valine says they accept money for food programs that are federal. But I just wanted to make sure that it was solid, that there wasn't something else going on. Because I saw in some financial documents that they accept money from levies for taxes, but I don't know if they're state taxes and not federal, and I don't know if that counts. So on the off chance that you happen to know anything about intermediate school districts, or know someone that could verify that, I emailed the state Department of Education and some other people to try to get a clear-cut answer, but I have not received a response back yet. So anyway, everybody's like, you should talk to P-Dog. He lives in Minnesota. You should talk to P-Dog. So, well, if you do. Anyway, moving on to other things. I don't want to read that one. That's gross. Okay, we'll do this other one from Top Ramen Lewis because why not, I guess. If it'll come up here, come on. Give me the link. You can do it. Okay, turn that single gear. All right. It's a Medium article, if you can believe it. I'm a black PTA mom, and it's weird as fuck. The PTA is a social club of whiteness, but I'm not in the club, and these women are not my friends. Yet I'm still here. They're not your friends because they're white? Or
You do realize that most people in PTA clubs aren't friends, right?
there's the other thing, too. It's like, we're just here because of our kids.
But you, the not racist, to stand in a room like all these crackers around here, they must all be friends and know each other and be real chummy.
Yeah.
Because don't all white people get along. They all think alike and shit.
They all know each other because they're all in a group, right?
Yeah.
Not a demographic. Yeah.
And I'm sure if you were at home or at some place hanging with your black friends, which I assume you only have, and some white lady walked along and said, "Oh, you guys must all be friends and know everything about each other, right?" And you'd be like, "Huh, why would you make that assumption? Because we're all black? What are you, a racist?" And then I would promptly slap the shit out of you.
Blackness is moving in the world and entering spaces that do not belong to you.
Says you.
It is a quick scan and not being at all surprised to see only white faces.
Yes.
It is sitting down with an existential sensitivity to being both watched and ignored.
Both watched and ignored. Ain't that a bitch? How does that even fucking work?
There's no way to win in that situation, is there? Thank you, Chicago Mike. Parents and teachers are all white. Yes. Whiteness in these spaces is defined as more than melanin deficiency.
Sure.
I love how they say melanin deficiency. It's like it's a flaw. Performing whiteness. Is that like performing blackface? Like, what does that mean? Performing whiteness is engaging in the room in the way only whiteness allows, not questioning your entitlement, being dismissive of racial others, and thinking your perspective is the middle norm from which all other perspectives deviate. Aren't you being dismissive of racial others by just calling them white?
Yeah. And isn't she assuming right now that her perspective of that room and the way it's supposed to work is better or somehow different and takes more precedent than everybody else's perspective? Yeah. It's so crazy, man. Just hold up a mirror to any modern activist and they will defeat themselves in their own argument.
She ups the ante on that racial others by the way she phrases it. And it's like, we're lesser because we're others.
Mm-hmm.
This performance of whiteness excludes. It says to black people, you do not belong here. You know, that's your inner voice talking.
Yeah.
I would be amazed if any of the PTA moms and dads that show up there who are white come up to you and say, yes, well, you can take, here's the keys to the car. You can go park it out in the back. I have a feeling that doesn't happen. Yep. I got a feeling. But I belong in this space. It's the PTA meeting. I have 3 kids in school. Okay, so you qualify. And then?
She shows up, separates herself from everybody else, turns her nose up at white people doing white people shit, because that's what black people do a lot. And others herself, and then says it's everybody else's fault that I'm separating myself from them.
My status as a parent doesn't make being a black body in this white space any less awkward. Okay, again, that's a you problem. Okay, until you tell me of something that happened, and I'm sure she'll have an example. This is all self-esteem stuff, and the operative term in self-esteem is self. Go ahead.
Most PTA meetings are at like 2:00 in the afternoon anyway. If she is able to go to that with her 3 kids in school and it's not a struggle to go to a job or anything like that, congratulations. She is doing some white people shit.
After the summer of protest, some parentheses, white parents found themselves bewildered at the police terror black people know intimately. Surprised that this is, quote, still happening. Surprised that this is still happening. They had a racial reckoning. your punctuation is all off. White parents needed a white knee on a black neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds of slow death to be awakened to the horrors and trauma of white supremacy. Yeah, white supremacy. And where's Derek Chauvin now? Oh, they just gave him a pass, right? He's off and running a sheriff's department all by himself now, right? All the officers involved in that just went on with their day after that, didn't they?
Yeah, he runs the cement and steel bars district.
So they started book clubs, with white fragility being the first text of choice. How ironic that a white woman is profiting from telling white people about white supremacy. It is ironic. I'll give you that. This is the first time you got it right.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. Robin DiAngelo, as much as she is a raging race grifter, she's a smart race grifter. I mean, I don't respect her as a human being or quote unquote intellectual, but as a businesswoman, she has got it clocked. And so does Ibram X. Kendi. You know, he's a complete phony too, and he's profiting off of people's hatred. But hey, he's got it clocked. He's got his thumb on the pulse of white guilt and everything else that people want to think about themselves one way or the other because of their skin color, because they got nothing else to do with their time, I guess. And they are making bank.
Yeah, and the one thing that a lot of people still haven't figured out is no matter how much white guilt you have, if you're fucking being rained on by money, I don't think it matters all that much. Yeah, you can be as sad about being as white as you can, but that hot tub and fucking drink is just going to be like, man, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad.
All right, quickly in the chat, P-Dog says, yes, they're part of the regular system, but offer special ed in an alternative setting for 9 participating districts. I assume they receive federal funding for special services like any other school. They are public schools. I assume so, but I wanted to verify that because, like I was saying, I didn't want to make that statement in a video that they are blatantly breaking federal law by implementing and encouraging racial segregation in their schools without being absolutely sure, because I would hate to do one of those things where it's like I make some grand gesture without knowing exactly what's going on. And I tried to do some research before emailing people. I looked at like a state budget report and just tried to see, is it that, but it wasn't. Either I missed it because I'm not some kind of accountant, or it doesn't explicitly say so. Thank you, Ebony Williams. So this woman wilts and cringes that she has to engage in whiteness. It's like this woman has never been outside. Yeah, this next line or two. Oh, sorry, I skipped a thing here. They Googled how to talk to my children about race. They wondered aloud, what can I do? They talked about being afraid to get it wrong and how this has paralyzed them from taking action. Here's the big thing. They are more afraid of getting it wrong than actually combating racism. Lady?
Wait a minute. Is it not getting it wrong combating racism?
Well, here's the problem. It's very hard to combat racism with 2 T's. I know I'm the English major here, but just saying. And they expect us to manage these fears, these feelings. They slide into our Facebook DMs asking to have coffee so they can explain themselves after they've said something ridiculous, all so they can prove they are a good white person. They've made it about them. It's truly the whitest thing. You're making it about them. Have you not read your own words? Everything is about them. Your oppression, your pain, your awkwardness, you're feeling left out, you feeling alone. It's them.
God. The most tripped out part about this is they're explaining to us how hard these fucking rabid, horribly racist, terrible individuals are trying not to be racist. And that is a problem. Mm-hmm. That's the issue right now. These fucking terrible, disgusting racists who hate us and would like to watch us just writhe in pain and die at any moment because they hate our disgusting black skin. They are breaking their fucking necks trying not to hurt our feelings in every way they can, and it fucking disgusts me. Like, really? Like, fuck you. Go jump in front of a train, you stupid bitch.
I've been to PTA meetings, and just all of them are horrible people.
Well, this is the catch-22 of the current anti-racism notion, and it's nothing new. It's the same thing. It just has a new word. Any protestation, any evidence that someone either isn't being a racist or is actively trying to show that they're not being, discriminatory, which is kind of, ridiculous to begin with. But if you're made paranoid enough about it, I can't imagine why people trying to show that they're open and inclusive and everything. Well, that's just evidence of your inherent evil. Because if you have to act like you're not being discriminatory, you obviously are discriminatory. It's an insult either way. I mean, there's no state where you can be not racist. As Ibram X. Kendi says, you're either racist or you're anti-racist. You're either in denial if you're saying you're not racist, or you're confessing as an anti-racist. Thank you, Jeanette E. Hellis. This lady hurts my brain. I could be as awkward as this lady is, and I'm still happy to be in a room with white people. And I agree with Satsu. You agree with Satsu? I don't know. Okay. You say so.
We both black.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Jeanette, is that why?
We gotta stick together.
Oh my God.
But only when the narrative demands it. Because we are a monolith, except for when we're not. But we are.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna dodge this lady, and the last one we'll do is one from Frosted Glass. Which one? Oh boy, do I want to do here? Okay, we haven't. Oh wait, we'll do a Frosted Glass one from Vice.com. Excuse me, if I don't lose my breath here. Come on. Well, if the article will come up, because now it's debating on whether or not. Okay. Thank you, Vice. I can't believe I just said that, but anyway. 2020 changed everything about climate justice. Justice. And we got this big bar at the top that I can't get rid of for whatever. Okay, it now collapses. During the global climate strikes in September 2019, I forgot those happened, honestly. Climate strikes. Wasn't it about the kids skipping school for a day?
Sure.
Vice featured young and powerful leaders advocating for climate justice, all of them people of color and under 30. Oh, so you're both racist and ageist. Okay. They were a testament that movements for justice have always had many leaders, but they are often ignored or forgotten. Well, I'll confess, I forgot that there were quote unquote climate strikes because somehow the world kept turning. At the time, many politicians, business elites, and news outlets had reduced the movement for climate justice to a singular player, Swedish youth activist Greta Thunberg. Yeah, I'm sure you had no role in that whatsoever yourself, Vice. How many articles did you do propping up Greta Thunberg during that time?
I'm sure it was only 100.
Yeah.
What about the girl on the left in the photo? Unless, I guess they could counter tattoo under her lip. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that is a tattoo, huh? That looks like the kind of tattoo you'd see on like a character from like Star Trek or Star Wars or something. The activists talked about how Black, brown, and indigenous communities are often first and worst affected by climate change. Whether they breathe in some of the world's most toxic air, are forcibly relocated because of hurricanes and flooding, which only affects skin colors of a particular type?
Yes, the actual hurricane water knows to fill only brown people's houses. Like it completely ignores everybody else's. You can actually see the flow shift when a white person lives there. It's actually kind of crazy.
Or do you not remember Katrina? Kanye spelled it out.
Yeah.
Or still can't access clean and safe drinking water. Last year, when the pandemic hit and the George Floyd protests erupted, it became clear that there's systemic racism, not only in policing, but in the environment and healthcare too. And if people can't breathe, they can't fight for justice. Here, Vice World News returns to some of the activists to find out what's happened since the global climate strikes, how the racial justice uprisings and the pandemic have shaped their racial justice uprising, not violent, destructive riots. Okay. And the pandemic have shaped their work and what Joe Biden's win means for the climate movement. Was he going to ban fracking or not ban fracking?
A little column A, a little column B.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to mess up this name. Juwaria Jama, 16, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Juwaria Jama, the daughter of Somali immigrants, grew up in a predominantly black community just a mile away from factories and highways she could see from her living room. I can see highways and factories from my living room. Okay. Quote, our community has high rates of asthma because of the constant pollution, said Jama, an organizer with Minnesota Youth for Climate Justice.
Do any white people live over there, perchance?
When George Floyd was violently killed by police nearby, Jama said the ongoing fight for the right to breathe became even more fervent. Quote, we realize that the environment movement needs to understand these intersections.
That is fucking stupid as hell.
So police and these uprisings for Black Lives Matter. And speaking of switching out words for other things, again, I feel like lately I've been having to say this a lot because a lot of the things I was doing videos on a year or 2 or 3 years ago now are suddenly becoming very commonplace. And the whole changing the words about a riot. There was a thing that Splinter did. They said, don't call it a riot. And they tried to draw this parallel between what happened in Ferguson and Baltimore with not being riots. They're actually uprisings for racial justice.
Uh-huh.
And and I was like, no, a riot is a riot. Doesn't matter what your reason is. Your justification does not make a riot not a riot. Anyway.
That's not true. It's just a day that ends in Y in Baltimore. Speaking from experience.
Okay, you can say that. I never lived there, so I got no idea. These uprisings for Black Lives Matter show that we can no longer sugarcoat issues of justice in the climate movement, whether that is police brutality or racism, unquote. Climate movement, police brutality, or racism. The climate. And while many in the movement for racial and environmental justice are celebrating the U.S. election, Jama said President Joe Biden. I'm still of a mind where Joe Biden was vice president, so my reflex is to say vice president, has not done or said enough yet about climate change. Climate justice. Well, he hasn't said a whole heck of a lot to anybody about anything since he's been hiding from the press this whole time. So I agree with your complaint, sort of.
Well, he's not Trump, so that's all that matters.
Quote, rejoining the Paris Accord did absolutely nothing and will do absolutely nothing. Oh, sorry, that was me talking. Rejoining the Paris Accord is important, but we need to do more. People of color are the ones that are most impacted by environmental inequities and by the climate crisis. We will not have climate justice without racial justice.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? Kana chasing horse. Kuana, maybe? Chasing horse, 18, Alaska. Are those tattoos too? I can't tell. Last year, Kuana chasing horses' homelands and way of life were threatened when the Trump administration decided to open the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to drilling. It was also the year she turned 18 and could vote for the first time, which meant voting for Biden, who promised to protect the refuge. Quote, my great-grandparents and my grandparents didn't have that right to vote, and I did it for them, unquote. When Biden won, he nominated Deb Haaland to serve as the first Native American cabinet secretary and head of the Interior Department. On his first day in office, he signed an executive order declaring a temporary moratorium on oil and gas drilling in the refuge. There's a word there. Okay, quote, since Trump finally being voted out of office and our victory with Deb Haaland, it felt like a really big step in not just my healing, but for Indigenous people all over. It means a lot of our lands are being protected, lands that we've been fighting for years, said Chasing Horse.
Temporarily.
It's a long way to temporary. Oh, sorry. Quote, obviously, it doesn't mean that the work is done. Well, obviously, you're correct. Or that we can stop fighting so hard for our lands and our waters. My vision for the next year is really just to keep our land safe and sacred. For me, it's a big part of my way of life. That's why I'm scared of losing anything else, because I've lost so much already due to colonization.
Temporarily.
Yeah, I mean, temporary can be years and decades or something. But yeah, if it was a permanent moratorium, I'd say, hey, you got what you voted for. Congratulations. And I'm not that big a fan of like drilling every spot on the planet and destroying certain habitats or threatening certain ways of life or threatening conservation and all that. I mean, I'm not a raging environmentalist per se, but I'm also not like Professor Sludge or whatever that was from Captain Planet. So
Biden basically said, "Shut the fuck up for a moment," and that was basically it.
I'm curious what temporary means. If do they even say? I might have missed it already, but no, I don't know. Generations to come. Yeah, I mean, like say temporary in the grand scheme of things could mean like in glacial movement time that it will be decades before anything else is considered. But anyway, guys, we're going to move on from that to the wonderful world of YouTube time. Thank you guys so much for all of the articles. Sorry I didn't get to them all, but hey, I gave extra time, got to a couple more. Let's see, for myself, Thursday, per usual, I'll be doing a TED Excellence at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. I haven't chosen which one to do yet. I've got quite a few to select from because TEDx never stops rolling. I'll throw out a couple of names of things that I'm looking at. I've got, here, I'll read some titles to you. Let's see. How about, you guys tell me what sounds most exciting to you. Wanted anti-racism leaders. This one, I think I might do this next one. Riots, disobedience, and the philosophy of protests. I'm curious about that one. Next one. Why fighting for racial equity means reimagining justice.
Of course. Fighting for anything nowadays means reimagining the actuality of, most things nowadays. So
now the next one, did I ever, I'm sure I've said this maybe to you guys before. Have I ever told you my recipe for making your own TEDx?
Yes, I believe you've explained that before.
Okay, briefly for those of you that may not have heard it before, here's my recipe for creating your own TEDx talk. First, think of something. First, decide: do you want to have a positive or negative TEDx talk? As in, you want to be for something or against something. Okay. Then pick a word that means something good or denotes something positive. And then, like I say, and then decide: do you want to be in for this thing, or you'll be against this thing? If you're for this thing, you call it. So, for example, like my thing was, I picked the word tranquility. Right, tranquility. It denotes like peacefulness and calm and that kind of thing. Right, it's a good thing. Okay, so do I want to have? Am I for tranquility? Or against tranquility? I'm going to call it toxic tranquility. What is toxic tranquility? I have no idea. So I reverse engineer that phrase into a TEDx talk. It just writes itself. How do you reach toxic tranquility? How do you make tranquility a toxic thing? You turn it into something that's racist or sexist or whatever else. Your tranquility, your sense of peace is actually oppressing and victimizing others, and just roll with that, right? Well, the title of this one is, and if you're for something, you call it radical tranquility. What's radical tranquility? Really getting peaceful. And what does that do for you? Well, the title of this one is called Radical Vulnerability.
Radical.
This guy is totally using my recipe. And so radical vulnerability, can you find it within your own story?
Radical
vulnerability.
So
like taking down all the walls, Satsu, really opening yourself up, making your most authentic self exposed to the world. Stop being so cautious. Stop being so fearful. Just open yourself up. Now, I haven't watched this. If I'm anywhere close to anything this guy's going to say, so I'm right now, I'm debating between philosophy of protests and radical vulnerability. But I think I just might have sold myself on radical vulnerability just because it's just so close to my own theory on TEDx's. So, yeah.
Now you're going to see if he follows the formula.
Well, I'm just wondering. It's like, okay, I'm probably going to start out the stream by going like, okay, let's all take a moment and do a thought experiment. Let's reverse engineer the phrase radical vulnerability and see what we can come up with and see how close we are to what the actual presentation holds. I've done that a little bit already, but I'll probably do more so on Thursday. Anyway, guys, Thursday, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, another TED Excellence, probably radical vulnerability. I don't even think I need to change anything about the thumbnail. I just need to put radical vulnerability on that. Other than that, what else? Oh, yes. Again, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific will be a live debate between Ranting Monkey and Euphorio Answer. And if you don't know who that second name is, he is one of Monkey's handful of Twitter enemies, villains who constantly fights him in tweets and stuff. And apparently they're going to have a live freeform debate, I believe on Monkey's channel at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Thursday. So the plan right now is I'm encouraging everybody of the Lords of the Night audience, if you weren't going to do so already, obviously, to attend that debate and cheer on Monkey in his debate. And depending on how long the debate goes, if there's enough time afterwards, it could go for just an hour, it could go for 2, I don't know. But if it eats too much into Lords of the Night time, might just call it for the night. If it doesn't do so badly in that regard, we'll come back over here after the debate and do a show. So keep an eye on Twitter for that. But yeah, Thursday night, first and foremost priority is to go support Monkey in his debate. That'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Ranting Monkey's channel. And then we'll see what happens with the Lords of the Night after that.
By the way, his name is Eufio, but nobody cares because fuck him.
Oh, Eufio? I thought it was for some reason like Euphorio for some reason. Anyway, my bad. Sunday, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing Sunday yet. There's been a couple more articles posted about hive diversity. I don't know if they're anything worth talking about because I don't know if they say anything more about what the company does that I haven't already looked at. But outside of that, I'm not sure what I will do. I've got a couple things. Dr. Hoff has posted a couple of vlogs recently. If you guys remember Dr. Hoff, for those of you that follow my channel on the Radical Therapist. So maybe I'll do one of those. Not sure yet. We'll see. And other than that, I think that's all the YouTubing I have right now. I think, wait, what did I do Sunday? Oh, right, Sunday. Sorry, let me back up a little bit. So the Sunday stream I did previously, because I wasn't here yesterday, I looked at 2 short videos talking about the cash bail system. Because the TEDx I did last week told us nothing about alternatives, just that cash bail is a problem. And I'm like, yes, I agree it's a problem. And then what? So I watched 2 short videos. One was from TED, and they only kind of did something different. But then the one from Vox actually did profile an alternative, saying they eliminated cash bail in California and instead implemented a system where a judge uses this assessment form to figure out, based on certain factors of the defendant before them, whether or not they are likely to jump bail, or not bail in that case, but likely to not show up for their trial. And if they decide they're a risk, they'll either throw them in jail until the trial or put them on some kind of monitoring before the trial begins. And I was like, okay, we have an alternative. The problem is, the argument was cash bail effectively convicts someone and punishes them for a crime when they should be presumed innocent, right? You haven't actually been convicted of anything yet, and yet you're being threatened with incarceration for a crime you haven't been convicted of. And therein lies the conflict with your presumption of innocence and your right to a fair trial and being punished for a crime you haven't committed. And so it's like, yes, okay, cash bail does that. What does the judge's assessment form do any differently? Nothing, except you're putting all of the discretion into the judge's hands completely as to your fate. It's not a financial burden you have to meet. It's the judge's discretion you have to meet, but you don't get to meet it. It's based on your age, how many times you've been convicted of crimes in the past, a bunch of other factors. So effectively, the judge is assessing what you may or may not do in the future and then deciding your restrictions in your real life prior to your actual trial. So they're doing a whole Minority Report thing on trying to guess what you haven't done yet and then deciding whether you should be punished in the meantime. It doesn't actually change anything about that whole presumption of innocence. So again, I was glad to hear an alternative. It's obviously not a perfect alternative, but then what could be? but it still has its problems. If the complaints about cash bail are X, this certainly doesn't satisfy them. Anyway, long-winded. I apologize. Just want to give that summary. That's what I did on Sunday, and that's all I've got. Satsu, what have you been up to?
Well, not a whole lot as far as work is concerned. I didn't get a lot of editing done because I had to finish up taking care of the previous apartment. Because unlike some people, I do like to, when I leave an apartment, make sure it's at least in the state that it was when I got there.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who own this place were very shocked by that. They were just like, "Wait, why haven't we gotten the keys back yet?" And I'm like, "I'm cleaning up and I'm not finished yet." And they're like, "What?" Like, what? You're doing what now?
I want my deposit back, dang it.
Yeah, I would like to get that back, please. Thank you very much. And I know some places are more lenient than others or whatever, but I don't like to take that chance. I want to make sure that I'm getting my whole deposit back. And, I'm just like, and even Squishy was like, why don't we just like, I think it'll be fine. I'm like, well, I don't know. So if I don't know for sure, then we need to work this out. So I've been kind of busy with that. So not a lot going on. I did do a live stream last night. We played some Valheim, and that was pretty awesome because we actually got a hype train over on Twitch. And we got up to a level 5 hype train, which was crazy, man. A lot of support last night for me coming back after being gone for so long. I appreciate that. I really do. It felt good to come back and have some love thrown my way. That was awesome. I really I want to do a stream tonight. Because I don't usually do it on Tuesdays, and we were going to play tonight, but I'm actually very sleepy still. So I'm just like, am I going to make it? I don't know. We'll see. By the end of the show, I'll let you guys know for sure if I'm too tired. If not, then we'll be playing some Valheim over there. Otherwise, tomorrow I'm hitting the ground running. I got a fuck ton of projects that I need to pick back up on and get back into the swing of things. And once I do that, the ball will start rolling again, and we'll have more content for you. So I'll be a busy boy again pretty soon, but I've been moving and stuff and getting everything together for the time being.
Alrighty, and Valine?
Well, after the 24-hour exclusivity period, I'll be uploading the stream I did earlier in 2 parts for Fallout 76 and me raging on Call of Duty. Because it's been like 3 years since I played Call of Duty, and I do like raging on that game sometimes when I'm irritated about something. I usually like yelling at 12-year-olds, but
Sure.
I might be streaming again later tonight, but it'll be a quieter game. It's definitely not going to be Call of Duty because there are people in this house that have to sleep tonight. And I've got to stay up for work tomorrow night. So I'll probably be playing World of Warcraft or Fallout. So I'm not shouting fuck every 5 minutes. But that, and then Blondie and I are trying to get it in the works. We got to do it before March is over. Her and I take the same stance on a lot of the women's arguments. So we're gonna probably do a video talking about no, seriously, you're not that oppressed. Calm down. Calm yourself. Nobody's gonna come beat you into submission. And we haven't done one together in a while, so we're looking at doing it on a Sunday. It'll either be this one or the following one. I think it's mostly dependent on me sleeping since I work overnight shifts. And then it'll just be back to the normal Tuesday streams of doing multiplayer in case somebody goes, hey, I've got that game. You want to play? Sure. And then I upload them on Wednesday evenings, Thursday mornings to YouTube. Mm-hmm. Once Twitch is done with their requirement, they just get straight exported over there. This is going to be one of those rare weeks where I actually have to cut the video up because it was 2 games I played. So, but that's all I've got.
Okay. Let's see. I thought I had something else, but apparently I have forgotten it or lost it, so I won't worry about that right now. Anyway, I guess we'll move on to the wonderful world of internet fucketry. That's what I meant. And I've got a little bit here. First off, I did some, I guess, some graphic work today. This was going around. There was a anime avatar generator thing that was all the rage for a couple hours this morning. And so I took a look at it, and this is what I did.
Oh, nice.
Now, the mustache is custom made. You can't do that with the generator. I had to add that, but otherwise, that is the anime Scribe, and it was very well received, even though I have no idea about anime or if it's accurate to anything at all. But there you go.
It looks good.
And then the other one was Anthrax Allen on Twitter was trying to come up with. So you know, Sinatra Says his avatar, his whole look. He was trying to come up with one for Sassy Shelley, and he put up this picture of Marilyn Monroe, like with a bottle of perfume or something. And I was kind of like, not bad, but isn't there? There's got to be a picture of Marilyn Monroe, like with a microphone, because that's the whole thing. Sinatra's in front of a microphone. And so I found one, and I did a little photoshopping of kind of cutting her out of the background and everything. And this is what I came up with.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I thought that looks like a Sassy Shelley, if there has to be a Sassy Shelley avatar. So I sent that off, and Sinatra seemed to like it. Other people seemed to like it too. And so thanks to Anthrax Allen for the inspiration. I don't know if it'll end up being used or not, but there you go. That was something I did today just on while I was waiting for some work stuff to process. Outside of that, Oh, I had a horrible joke yesterday, and since I wasn't here last night on the show, I didn't get a chance to read it. What do you call a party for the He-Man woman hater clubs?
What?
What Sunday football?
Yeah, what do you call a party for the He-Man woman haters?
He-Man woman haters.
Or just woman haters in general, I guess is a better way of putting it.
I don't know.
It's a reference to the Little Rascals, but it's basically, Anyway, I said an in celebration.
Oh my
god. Yeah, but incels have to make their own sandwiches.
They hate yeah, they do. The Washington Post asked the question today. Comedians are struggling to parody Biden. Let's hope this doesn't last. And I said, send comedians on stage using cue cards that are missing entire words and phrases. It'll take care of itself. It's not tough to parody Biden. It really isn't. And then the Washington Post also said, have questions about Biden's stimulus package? Sorry, ask the Post. And I said, I honestly have more questions about the president being unable to remember the Pentagon. But whatever. And otherwise, I got to show off the tonight's thumbnail just one more time because I'm a show off like that. Let me get it here real quick. I was trying to find it earlier and it just got away from me. Come on. Oh, come on. You're not going to disappear now, are you? All right. Well, someone else go. Satsu, what do you got for fucketry? I'll bring this up in a minute.
Let's see. Do I have any fucketry? I haven't been on the internet.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you've been all moving in and stuff.
Yeah, I'm done, by the way, with the other house. Like, all that stuff is moved, and I gave the keys back today, so that's cool. But let me see. I think I saw something going on over on Facebook. Facebook, where are you?
Well, Facebook.com.
I thought I had a tab up already.
Oh.
He's gone. Oh, they did remind me of a post that I made. It was like this was 6 years ago, by the way. Facebook.
Oh,
remember when you did this?
Real quick. Sorry, I missed this. Thank you, Virgil G. Scribble-chan. Yay. Yes, Scribble-chan That was it. So 6 years ago, you did what?
I made a post, and I can't remember exactly what the I think Apple was doing like an announcement or whatever of some mundane item that had their logo on it that was significantly more expensive than previous versions of said mundane item.
Yeah, Apple toilet paper or something.
Yeah. So I had a picture of a regular apple, and then I said 25 cents, and then I took a picture of that same apple and put the Apple logo on there and put $699.99. And I'm just like, I remember this. Oh man, that this was meme an actual term back then? 6 years ago, was it? It was. Okay.
Sure it was. Yeah.
Okay, because fucking 6 years ago, dude.
I know, right?
I was in a whole nother headspace. That was a year before I met Squishy. That was back when I was just a robot, fucking going through the motions. To all of my fucking anime people out there, will get this. It's a CNN article, a headline article, and it says Frieza is forced to resign as leaders of the Frieza Force after old footage of him saying racist comments about Saiyans resurface. And that one just made me happy because I'm just like, yes, please. It's fucking hilarious. Also, there's another post I saw that said, the Boondock. You guys know about the Boondocks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It said, y'all wouldn't be able to handle if this show came back. All you'd have to hear one time is Negro, you gay, and the show's canceled immediately.
Thank you, Virgil G. The degradation of the term meme hurts my soul. Yeah, well, this generation is all about the vicissitudes of words and meaning. It really is about redefining everything. And like I was saying the other day about one of the videos I did, somebody brought up the words grit and rigor referencing school and academics. And I was about to say something, and I was like, I don't know that my definition is the one they're meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly finding myself doing that silently or otherwise these days, because I have to stop myself and go, I know what that word means. What do they mean it means? It's
And the last thing I want to mention is we can safely store into the basket of things that didn't happen. And it's from some chick named Claire Winham. And she says this: 4-year-old, Mommy, I wish you could stop working forever and just play with us every day. Me, feeling guilt. Why do you ask me this and not your dad? 4-year-old, because he earns more money than you. And then she says, the awareness of the gender pay gap starts young. How's your weekend going? And I'm just like, well, for one thing, things are actually happening in my weekend.
Wow. Anecdote that never happened. Yeah.
Like, apparently you're just fucking imagining things, because there's no way your 4-year-old child has a firm grasp on the exact salary between you and your husband, unless you are fucking beating that into their heads. Like, there's no way. There's no fucking way. And if that did happen, I'm glad it did, because you deserve to be shut down by your 4-year-old child. Like, bitch, because you don't make nothing. That's why I said to him, Daddy's bringing home the real bacon.
Uh-huh.
Oh, geez. But yeah, that's all my fucking tree.
Valine, you got anything?
Well, most of mine was yesterday, because I told the guys, since Drunkle had his internet out, that I would send them the articles I was planning on sending to Drunkle. So it was basically just articles about women being terrible and kind of like awesome men articles for International Women's Day.
Oof.
Like the one about the guy running a marathon in 16 hours pulling a truck. But one of the things I did post, which was funny because it popped up actually in my Facebook feed, was a video called Meditation for Bitches. And the actual title of the video is 2-minute meditation for bitches who don't know how to meditate. And the girl's pretty funny in the video. She's like, go ahead and grab yourself a bottle of wine and a glass, because in case this doesn't work, remember, you're a bitch who takes care of herself. Well, I post that online with the International Women's Day tags, just being myself and stirring the pot. And a guy, the only comment I got on it within like the first hour was from a guy sending me his blog post that I took a screenshot of, because I knew he deleted it as soon as I told him, like, dude, this is a shit post. Like, stop just defaulting to the hashtag. It says, check out this blog post discussing how today's theme of leadership can become a daily ritual. And it's like leadership for women with their tribe. And I'm like, first of all, this was me being a jackass on the internet. And secondly, I'm not the chick you want to talk to about that. I don't need your moral support. And on top of that, the irony is not lost on how much you're going to get abused by the females who actually do take offense to this, full offense to this, and go, how dare a man tell me how to lead? Well, I mean, you probably suck at it, but that's not the point. It's like, it was like, dude, I'm just shit posting. It's because it's funny. That's all I'm doing. I like the movie Deadpool for the same reason, because they made fun of it as a holiday. And that was pretty much what I did. That, and of course I was scrolling through the super straight hashtag and just amazed at how many people got offended while everybody else is sitting back laughing.
Oh, the super straight thing was pretty funny.
Yeah, cancel culture is now getting canceled.
Yeah.
By everybody. I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Oh,
all right. Was that all you had?
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Okie dokie. Yeah, the super straight. Oh man. That'll arrive and leave as quickly as it showed up. Okay, and like I said before, one more show off here. Because I'm kind of proud of this one. So I'm particularly proud of I was able to find the font for the top title thing and make that work, because that wasn't easy. And then the logo and then the faces and everything. And there, as you can see, is Gamer Valine.
My poor wife got a tiny head.
Well, yeah, that was the one thing I couldn't. The only way to make it work, I had to make her like, yeah, it's just that her avatar is just so oddly shaped, and in order to maintain everything, like the hand and the phone, and make it all work, I had to, yeah. So I guess that's the one flaw in the whole thing, if there's a flaw. But
you probably could have made it a little bit bigger.
Probably, yeah. I was kind of twitchy on the proportions and making it like still fit the rest of the face, and also making it fit with the hair. That's the one thing that's the big problem with a lot of these things, is trying to get some of the avatars around the hair of the person in the picture. And I was like, so yeah. Anyway, tiny head. But otherwise, I thought it turned out okay.
I guess I should stop teasing redheads so much, since my skin tone seems to actually work with that red hair.
I was able to get that to fit in all right, and just a little bit of your real hair is in the edge there, but it blends in plenty, so it wasn't that big a deal. Anyway, so yeah,
I'm Daywalker.
Keep looking at 90s movies for inspiration. I came across that one. I was just kind of like, who can I use that with? Okay, so there you go. The effort and the things that I do for this show. Let's see. With that, we are far past regular time. So guys, it's question and comment time. If you have questions, comments, complaints, conspiracy theories, if you have anything you'd like to ask us directly, please put plenty of chat marks after those. If you have statements for us to consider, please put plenty of statement marks after those. Yeah, we'll move on from that. And in the wings here, I'm trying to set up my next Familiar with the Matter interview. But I'll talk about that when I have a more firm schedule on that. Cannibalistic Wizard: tuna braised in butter, ginger, and honey, bacon wrapped cheese filled JoJo's, and a glass of mint tea with sake. The first part doesn't sound too terrible. Mint tea and sake? I'm not quite sure about that one. You guys?
I don't know. I know I made I made salmon patties tonight, and they were delicious.
I don't like sake.
Yeah, I've had it a couple of times. I've had it, when it's properly warm and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I never really liked it all that much. I never got a taste for it.
Mint tea is delicious, though.
Can be.
I've never had sake.
Let's see. Mata Winter, Lords, would you try some rice cold milk and some? Yeah, you're trying to make me sound all racist. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall off your trap. Ice cold milk and some Oreo cookies while throwing pears at pigeons.
What? Why would you waste perfectly good pears by throwing them at pigeons?
Yeah.
What kind of pears? Are we talking softball size Asian pears?
Asian pear. Oh. Taco Pekka, have you been following the mysterious disappearance of people in Idlewild, California over the past year? No, but that sounds very familiar. I think I saw a YouTube video that was talking about that, or at least the title, and I didn't get a chance to watch it. So the answer is no, but I'm vaguely familiar with the purported mystery of it. You guys heard anything about that?
I think that's the one my boyfriend's following.
Hmm.
Actually, because he was talking about, he's pretty sure there's a serial killer on the West Coast right now. He follows earthquakes, volcano eruptions, and serial killers. So,
yeah. Earl Basham, will you ever have Aiden Paladin guest? I don't know Aiden Paladin. I've never spoken to him or her, I guess. Actually, that's one of the problems. I don't even know. I know nothing about Aiden Paladin. I know the name. I don't think I've ever watched a video. Does that make me a bad person?
I've heard the name before, but I have no idea why they would want to come here.
Yeah. So the answer is ever, maybe, but it's not. I don't believe it's in the cards. So, do you know anything about Aiden Paladin, Willeen?
No, not really. I kind of stick to you guys because half the time I have to watch you guys on catch up. It's like you and Snoot, you guys AAA and all. I have to watch on a replay for half of it.
Let's see. Let's see. Dilford Zero Scribe, what is best? Sweet, bitter, sour, salty, spicy? It depends on what it is. Because I'd rather not have, spicy donuts or, sour chocolate. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think overall, I have more of an affinity with salty than anything else.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for salty things. So.
Yeah, I guess if I had to pick one thing, I guess between goldfish crackers and Lay's stacks and things like that, and yeah, okay, I'll say salty, sure, salty. Pauline,
bitter or salty. I've never liked sweets a whole lot.
You sound pretty bitter and salty. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I was gonna try to be nice to myself for once and say. And avoid saying it was like my personality. But yeah, I eat foods fitting my personality.
Wow, Scribe, way to alienate our guests.
Hey, I'm practicing my affinity groups.
He's not, though. I've made that joke. That's the best part.
Attack Alpaca, does Gamer Valine ever play sports games like Madden?
I play racing games, but that's about it.
You ever talk to Badger?
Probably in chat, but that's the extent.
Oh no, yeah, okay, yeah. But he does he casts racing games and stuff. He does live color commentary on F1, Forza, and all that stuff. Yeah,
I got Forza a couple years ago. I haven't gotten one recently. I've been stuck in 3 RPGs, but if I play anything that's considered a sport, it's racing. I cannot stand on-field sports games.
Hipper Lupus Rex. Have you heard in 4 years they're commissioning the new USS Enterprise? Oh, like a battleship or a carrier or something? I wouldn't be surprised. Unless it's for the Space Force, then it's a whole other can of worms there. So. Let's see. Brad Young. Aiden does psychology data, doesn't she? I don't know. Stunlock. Satsu, why are you being a sleepy bitch after telling me to tune in to see if we playing anything? Why are you playing with my emotions like that?
Because I'm sleepy and I don't know, messing with your gay friend's emotions is a fun thing to do.
Wow.
What?
The opinions expressed on Lords of the Night are not necessarily those of the host. Frosted Glass, if you had to make love to one food item, what would it be?
Obviously a cannoli, fool.
An apple pie.
Oh, it's so gooey.
Here is gooey and warm.
It's basically a cream-filled fleshlight.
Oh! A cream-filled flesh. Okay, there you go. That's going to go somewhere.
So you're just refilling it.
That's
right.
I knew I liked you for a reason.
Yeah, give me an unfinished cannoli.
Oh no, it'll be finished when I'm finished.
Oh yeah.
I got you, Italians.
Us saying, dude, how much would you pay to be a crew member on the first U.S. Space Force Enterprise? Nothing.
Hell no.
Because that would be an experiment I would not want to be a part of.
Yeah, let me watch whoever's going to do that and see how it goes. I do not want to be the first.
Yeah, once you show me that we have energy force fields that can maintain a seal around the ship at all times, and it's been proven technology and on. Yeah, I don't want to be the guinea pig for the first intergalactic space plane. Let's see. Mata Winter Scribe Light. The gas exploration on native lands was paused for 6 months for a committee to look into whether or not to continue. 6 months, you say? That is temporary.
I don't get why they're so focused on it. I thought native lands were sovereign nations.
Well, that's the thing. Is not the particular lands they're talking about aren't owned by the native tribe, or there's some kind of thing in Alaska that allows the government to do so. And there's only so many places that have oil, and we want to maintain some kind of independence from the Middle East. Yada yada yada, sisboomba. There's a lot of money to be made up there. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other mining things up there. There's copper. There's a whole bunch of minerals and other things that aren't oil involved necessarily, and they've been fighting over that for many years as well. So 6 months is a heck of a lot shorter time for. I mean, they could just pass another temporary moratorium, obviously, but I thought it was at least going to be like 5 years or something.
I needed to go for like a year. I've got stock in oil and it's just climbing right now. And I'm like, come on, go.
Mr. Yes, Scribe Light. Why is Pepe Le Pew canceled but not Fat Albert? Because Fat Albert was created by a real rapist. Well, Fat Albert isn't appearing in an upcoming film that's by Warner Brothers. So if he was, I bet he'd be canceled too. But Pepe Le Pew had like one scene in this Space Jam movie, and I mean, and I put it out on Twitter the other day. I said, if Pepe Le Pew is canceled for the reason he's being canceled right now, there is no Looney Tunes character that is untainted by some kind of past racist or stereotypical whatever in some cartoon from the 30s and 40s. There just isn't.
Yeah,
Bugs was trans.
Yeah, he's transphobic.
Yep.
Fucking Yosemite Sam is violent.
Yeah, Foghorn Leghorn is just a racist plantation owner, and on and on and on. Yeah. It just and Speedy Gonzales is a Mexican stereotype.
Although white liberals got shut the fuck down about Speedy.
That was hilarious.
I saw that. I did see that. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah,
which is interesting.
They were talking about Speedy Gonzales, and the fucking entire Latina community was like, "You better fuck off."
Yeah, that was interesting to see, especially since Speedy Gonzales was voiced by a white man.
Ooh.
Wasn't Fat Albert also voiced mostly by black people?
Well, I mean, Fat Albert, the character itself, was Bill Cosby.
Okay, so that's why they're not canceling him, because they would actually be canceling an actual black man.
Well, but Bill Cosby's already canceled though. So
yeah, Bill Cosby was already canceled. And besides, nobody cares about Fat Albert anymore. I mean, unless were they ever planning on like trying to reboot Fat Albert into the modern day cartoons or something? Was that ever a thing?
I don't know, but I do know one thing, and this is some Ohio trivia for anybody who lives here. You might know this, but there was a rapper here that was up and coming quite some time ago whose name was Fat Albert. Actually got sued and had to change his name.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I can see it.
And he was he was all right rapper. But
Mr. Yes, Scribe, thoughts on Warner Brothers giving Lola Bunny a flat chest? Hey, I'm not going to make fun of breast cancer survivors.
Oof.
Hey, girls can have small boobies.
That's the only explanation for how Lola went from one to the other. So I just leave that alone. Yeah.
I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I just think it's funny. The only reason I even paid attention was because it's like, okay, a movie that you guys are still selling copies of, with an iteration of the character that you now find offensive. Yeah, it doesn't wash with me, but I think it's like, what's more funny, did you see the somebody posted the original design sketches for Lola Bunny? And there was all these side notes and index notes about the designs and everything, and there's this one where it's an image of her jumping up to throw the ball, and her little crop top is up enough that you can see her under boobs. Oh. And there's a note that says, "Take out the boobs," and I can't do that. It's fucking hilarious. Let's see, Mr. Yes, Scribe, will you have Hate Camel as a guest host? What? I don't know. Like, what do you paint? I don't want. What do you want me to say, Aiden Powell? I don't know.
Dude, when people ask us these questions, I wonder if they think that we just say yes, and then it shall be, where it's just like, yeah, we will, and that person is now obligated to show up on our show because we said yeah.
There's I get that awkward feeling, like I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by saying one way or the other, but at the same time it's like it's sort of like, it reminds me of the time early on in my channel after I said, after I get 500 subscribers, I'm going to start doing a series called Criminally Undersubbed, and I'm going to try to use what little reach I have to promote other YouTubers in my circle and all that. And I did that for about a couple of months or a couple of weeks or something, and then I started having random strangers messaging me on Twitter going like, "Hey, will you do one for me?" I'm like, I have no idea who you are. And it was just, it got really awkward where I had these people going like, "Hey, that's great. Can you do one for me?" Like,
a prerequisite of me highlighting your channel is that I actually have to watch it, right?
Yeah. It's just like, what? And so, yeah, I didn't, I was like, so I got in a really awkward space of like, well, I don't want to be a jerk to people. So I just kind of stopped doing it. But I should probably do that again though, or something like it. Let's see, Asan, so do all of the YouTubers just live in the same little village in real life and only pretend not to know each other when you guys are streaming?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, my neighbor, like right next door, is Philip DeFranco. He's right there. I mean, he won't acknowledge me in real life or on YouTube life, but hell, we play basketball together. And then across the street, I think Mundane Matt's over there. I'm not sure. There's a lot of boulders in the way, so I don't know.
There are boulders present, and Mundane Matt is not far behind.
Well, I mean, he's basically embraced the whole boulder thing. I think he's got a show called the Boulder Stream or something.
Yeah. He's nosedived in, which was the right call too. I'm like,
yes.
That's the right move.
Yeah, on a PR scale, that is the only that is your only option.
Yeah,
that is your only option.
Scribe, I need my Tupperware back so Satsu can fill it with more food.
There you go. Yeah, well. Frosted Glass Scribe, would you have Clint Howard guest host? Clint Howard? The Ice Cream Man? Yeah, I'd have the Ice Cream Man on. Or Slinky. Yeah, if you guys without having to look anything up, if you know where Clint Howard was a character named Slinky. You are a total movie nerd. I'm not going to know if you looked it up or not if you put the answer in chat, but if you do, I'll just take it on faith that you didn't.
Can I answer a question from Ebony?
Of course.
She asked, would Scribe be a slice of life protagonist or a harem protagonist? And I can't say that you would be a harem protagonist. And the reason why is because most harem protagonists are either terrified or hate girls. And I'm like, that's not gonna work for Scribe, because that's the usual archetype. It's just like, oh my god, all these icky girls, and they're just like, please fuck us, and he's like, no.
Yeah, that probably. I mean, I'm not promiscuous, but I'm also not quote unquote afraid of women. So yeah, no.
Yeah, so that wouldn't really work for you. So probably more so slice of life protagonist.
Let's see, Advocatus Diabli. That wasn't his name in Rock and Roll High School, was it? Nope, it wasn't. Frosted Glass. Gamer Valine, after the cannoli thing, you want Satsu filling your Tupperware? Oh.
Does that?
You know that makes so great.
If that Tupperware ain't got no cannolis in it, she's fine.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't eat cannolis anyway, so I'm safe there.
Mr. Yes, Valine, favorite fighter from Street Fighter?
God, it's been so long since I played Street Fighter. Actually, I was thinking about Marvel versus SNK the other day. And I was thinking about the one time I went to a convention and I saw two girls dressed as Felicia, and I was like, one has the body for it, one does not. That's oh god, you're making me draw a blank. I've played Mortal Kombat far more recently than Street Fighter, like a decade more recently than Street Fighter.
The answer is Blanca.
It's probably Jury for me.
I'm a classic Blanca.
Them legs, man, I can't get past them. And I'm sure nobody reasonably can in real life either, like both literally and figuratively. But dim legs, though, I'm just like, Jury, she's life.
Virgil G. Scriblight, I would pay to watch the YouTube Village reality show so long as Medicare lived in the neighborhood and the show was rated R. Medicare would be like, you know, the guy who lives down the street that you always hear about but never see. You just know that he's there, kind of lurking. Yeah, him and Jade, you know, just kind of sitting there and doing their thing.
Fucking eyes over the fence.
Yeah, exactly like Wilson for that. Actually, that'd be hilarious to have like just Medicare's avatar's kind of coming over the edge of the fence, looking around. Not Winter. Oh lords, would you rather have the power to generate a variable length steel whip like Fu Manchu, or a large teal dog that barfs silk? I'll take the steel whip. Well, I mean, unless I don't know what's the price on silk these days.
Does it matter if your dog can bark infinite amounts?
No, barf silk.
Well, barf. Yeah, well, that's what I meant to say. Barf infinite amount. If it can happen infinitely, then I don't think it matters the cost. You know.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just saying,
the lower the cost, probably the better. Honestly.
Yeah. If silk is going for a premium right now, I might take the dog. Travis Gunner, Scribe, would Drunkle be your roommate? Fuck no. I don't have roommates. I've done everything I can to live as independently as I could for the last many years. So no, last time I had roommates, I did that in college, and the downsides were not worth the upside. So, Brad Young, I never really watched Medicare, maybe one or two vids. Just look up Tumblrisms.
Yeah, Tumblrisms is his best series to me.
Well, Tumblrisms or Internet Insanity. Those are really good. But anyway, yeah, you can find a lot of stuff. But Tumblrisms is probably, and remember, those were done back in like 2013, 2014. Mm-hmm. A lot of those things were, you want to talk about fringe thinking that came to mainstream in a very short amount of time. Medicare was ahead of the game on warning people about just how prevalent these things were becoming. And so when you watch Tumblrisms, just remember at that time, that was all wacky, fringe, nobody could believe this stuff kind of thinking. But if you watch them now, it's like that. I heard about that yesterday. Thank you, Keldrig. Last minute donation. Thank you, Keldrig. Well, last minute or otherwise, I appreciate it. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much. Pincala driving and use the BitChute versions. Yeah, I don't know how much of his stuff he's uploaded, of his old stuff he's uploaded to BitChute, but certainly anything you see on there for Mr. Medicare, you'd be better off watching that version than anything you find on YouTube. But the Tumblerism series, the Internet Insanity series, those should all be perfectly fine on YouTube. As far as I know, they haven't been compromised in any particular way. And lastly, Duolingo, Valine, what's your avatar in reference to?
That's my World of Warcraft Death Knight.
Oh, what's her name?
Valine.
How very original.
That's where my channel came from. I've been playing it since 2008. So,
Valine, put your channel link in the chat real quick for reference, because I failed to do. I'll put that in the description afterwards, because that's one thing I forgot to do when I was setting this up this evening. Cannibalistic Wizard, Scribe can't have roommates because Dog Cat Fox. I don't even know what it is. Anyway, moving on, guys. We're at the top of the hour and thus the end of the show. Thank you so much for showing up today. Oh, thank you, Picala Driving 8 Man. See you all down by the river. You live in a van? Okay. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You guys are the best audience in the whole of the world. Let's see. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone is so well behaved that you have very little to do, which is always nice.
Scribe, I'm not a mod, so I linked it. And
put it in the private chat here on the
okay,
on the control room, and I'll put it there then. Okay. I thought maybe you could. Oh well. Huh.
No, I'm not. I'm understandably not one of your chosen few.
Oh, it's whatever. It's fine. Thank you, Chicago Mike, for the last minute. Good job, Dog Cat Fox. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Remember, guys, tomorrow night we'll be on Satsu's channel at the regular time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of Lords of the Night. And Gamer Valine is got a Twitch channel, which I'm going to put in the chat now, and I will also put in the description for those of you listening in the future after the show. So go check out the Valine's Twitch channel and follow her on that to watch her do Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and all types of funny stuff. And Valine, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
As always, Satsu, thank you for joining me.
And guys, yes, we will be playing some Valheim after this. I'm not as tired as I thought, I guess.
Okay, so guys, after this, go over to 2 cents plus, and you can watch Satsu and I assume Stunlock run around in Norseland fighting Vikings.
Indeed.
And with that, everyone, your lives make us sad. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And per usual, take on my copy of Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, the romance and sexual sorcery of sadomasochism.
Sadomasochism.
And today's secret word is frightened.
Oh.
It was frightening.
Frightening.
Frightening.